Caterpillar or CAT is known for its earth-moving machines. And well, you may have owned a pair of its shoes, but smartphones? The S60 is not an ordinary smartphone. In fact, it boasts of features that no other smartphone would, like a Flir thermal imaging camera, which is pretty damn cool. Absolutely perfect for an adventure or water sports junkie or your dad. Do you want to know how the phone did in our review? Let's start with the build and design. To say its build and design are different from the plethora of other smartphones in the market would be an understatement. The S60 is big, chunky, asymmetrical, and in many ways, it's the antithesis of the sleek and slim modern smartphones we see today. It has a thick metal frame with plastic antenna lines near the corners. Display is sunken into the phone to protect it perhaps from drops. A thickened glass on the display, and underwater mode which allows the device to go down 5 meters and still work fine. The top bezel houses the front camera and the earpiece with the lockdown switch. I will tell you about that in a bit. Below the display is the speaker with the second lockdown switch and the 3 physical Android keys. The top edge of the phone has a bump which houses the Flir thermal imaging camera. The glass on top of the display panel is thicker than you would find on regular smartphones. It's still glass, but the added thickness makes it tougher to break. On the right, you get the 2 volume buttons, and that's about it. The left edge is quite packed with the power button and the programmable key on top, while the SOS key, micro USB port, and the headphone jack are located below it, protected by covers so as to prevent water from seeping in. The phone is obviously hefty, as rugged devices usually are. The front edges tend to gather from dust since the display is pushed inwards. The programmable key is a feature that is rarely used on devices. It can be used as a push-to-talk button, letting you use the phone like a walkie-talkie in conjunction with the preloaded Zello app. It can also be used to open apps with either a short tap or a long press. The SOS button below it lets you send a message to designated contacts, letting them know your location, handy if you're in a tight spot or being attacked. All in all, this phone is so rugged that you could probably throw it at your attacker and knock them out, or bash them over the head with it. The phone would still survive. It doesn't have a fingerprint sensor in case you're wondering, but it does have a lockdown switch. Ever wanted to go swimming with your phone? Or rafting? Or diving? Well, CAT claims the S60 is the world's most waterproof phone and can go down to 2 meters. In case you need to go deeper, flip the lockdown switch and the speakers and earpiece will get shut off, allowing this to go down to 5 meters. While we couldn't push the phone to its limits, we did take the CAT swimming with us. Now when you're underwater, use the programmable key to turn underwater mode on, and your touchscreen is disabled, and the camera is now turned on. Pressing the volume button activates the shutter in this mode, while the programmable key lets you toggle between shooting video or clicking photos. Touching the display brings up a slider that lets you disable this mode. If the phone detects water seeping into the speakers, it prompts you to dry them faster by using an app called Speaker Dry. The app starts a cycle of a series of high-pitched sounds, which apparently help dry the speakers faster via vibrations. The sounds can get very annoying, and since it's advised to turn up the volume while using it, it's best to leave the phone face down on a soft surface while the app does its thing. But it'll sure drive your dog or wife crazy. Let's move on to what we think is one of the coolest features, the Flir thermal imaging camera. How many phones can boast of a dual camera setup, with one of them being a thermal imaging camera? Yes, this is the only one. This is the S60 signature feature, and basically, this Flir camera can detect heat signatures and show you how they look. Obviously, this is a handy feature for any engineers out there. No need to buy expensive thermal imaging equipment anymore to detect leaks or cracks in your pipes. Just get the smartphone. Now, to access the thermal imaging camera, you need to open the My Flir app. The app has different modes like photo, video, panorama, and even time-lapse. There is also the option to choose a different palette if you want. You can also add multiple heat measuring points in the photo. There are a number of different uses for this tech. For example, a building contractor might use it to find leaks along AC vents in a building. Some of us like to take shots of test devices to see where the device was generating most heat. The Cat S60 comes with a 4.7-inch 720p display with good viewing angles. Colors are warm and contrast is fine. The display is also pretty bright with a luminance rating of 840 lux. Sunlight visibility is pretty good, which makes sense considering that the device is meant to be used outdoors in rugged conditions. The phone comes with Android Marshmallow, which is a little disappointing considering that most phones in this price range offer Nougat out of the box. However, you do get a near-stock Android experience with a bunch of preloaded apps thrown in. We wouldn't call these bloatware, as some of these apps are actually useful considering the Cat S60's target audience. Besides the aforementioned My Flir and Speaker Dry apps, you get the Hike app, which shows you your exact coordinates, compass, air pressure, altitude, weather conditions, and more. The Location app lets you feed in a list of contacts. These are the people who will receive an emergency message with your location should you press the SOS button. The app Toolbox makes it easier to find other activity apps that make best use of the phone's capabilities, like fishing apps, running apps, farming apps, and more. There's also an app called Mobile Assistant, which uses IBM's Watson AI to deliver results. However, we couldn't get this to work. Apart from the thermal camera, the S60 comes with a standard 13MP rear camera and a 5MP front camera. Images taken by the rear camera are a tad oversaturated and lack detail or sharpness. However, the contrast is pretty decent. In low light, images produced by this phone have plenty of noise. Images taken by the front camera are pretty bleak and skin tones are not distinct. Coming to performance, here is where we find the chink in the S60's armor. While most phones in this price range sport the latest and most powerful specs, the S60s are mid-range at best. The device is powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 617 SoC with 3GB of RAM, a setup that's similar to last year's Moto G4 Plus. As a result, the phone is woefully underpowered as compared to current crop of flagship smartphones. But that being said, the Cat S60's goal is to provide a smooth and fluid performance to rugged users, who usually have to compromise specifications for ruggedness. In everyday use though, the phone seems fine. Transition between menus are fluid, with only a rare hint of lag. Even games like Asphalt 8 run fine, although you'll have to wait a bit between loading screens. To reiterate, the phone isn't a performance beast, and if you're looking for a phone for playing a lot of video games, which definitely isn't the primary use case for Cat users, you're better off looking somewhere else. At this price range, you're spoiled for choice anyway. Further, it should be noted that the Cat S60 should support VoLTE. We tried using two separate Geo SIM cards, and neither seemed to be able to make a call. It does support 4G connections though. The Cat S60 sports a 3800 mAh battery, and during an average workday, which in my case starts at 9 AM and ends at 11 PM, I was left with about 13% battery. That's with about 20 minutes of music streaming, 30 minutes of gaming, and a bunch of messaging, calling, and social media, and playing around with the Flir camera. In our synthetic benchmark test, the phone ran for about 8 hours and 40 minutes. That's about the industry average for phones today. The Cat S60 is not a phone for you and me. Actually, it's not a phone for most of us. It belongs to a niche market segment. We wish the regular market could have some of this ruggedness, albeit 30% as rugged as this phone. For a rugged phone, the Cat S60 seems to be quite a device. But if you're someone who lives that rough and tumble lifestyle, this may be the phone for you. The S60 is currently in a class of its own, and things may remain that way for a long time, unless Samsung finally decides to bring its active lineup of devices to India. Even if it does, it's hard to see Samsung beat Cat in all the rugged aspects. In many ways, the Cat S60 reminds me of Wolverine from the X-Men. It may not be sleek, suave, or particularly flashy, but it's the best at what it does.